Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Salaam Alaikum. Mr. Moderator, our distinguished guests, brothers and sisters, our friends and our enemies.
Wassalam Rasulullah wa ba'd. In the name of Allah, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon His last and final messenger. Family, friends, foes, haters, and hateettes, welcome back to the Feachaz. I greet you all in peace and love with no hatred in my heart. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So before we begin, please like, please subscribe, and please share. As you know, we got a lot of haters up in here. And we touched up on this subject a couple of times, but with the Somali community. And essentially how they are egregiously socially engineered. And they are totally clueless and out of the loop at how badly they're socially engineered. And when you try to tell them, you know, all the stuff that you're going through, like people done been there, done that already, you know, they get very defensive and they start, you know, making some outrageous, outlandish excuses for all the madness that's going on in their community. Okay. So today, my wife, you know, she tells me, like, after work, she goes, Baba, and go, what? You know, it was on my lunch or during, I can't remember, right? But it's sometime during the day, right? Probably on my lunch, okay? Right? I was pretty busy today, right? And she goes, there was a shooting at a wedding in Ottawa. And instantly, before she said anything, I said, this gotta be Somalians. That's exactly my word for word. I said, this has to be Somalians, right? I said, it has to be Somalians. A shooting at a wedding? Ain't nobody else gonna do that, right? I said, it has to be Somalians who did that. And sure enough, you know, when the story, you know, started naming out the names and everything like that, it was Somalians, okay? It was Somalians who were doing it. Now, how did you know that, Bilal? How did you know that? Are you, you know, like you have like some sort of intuition? No. It's because all this stuff you're seeing with the Somalian community, it ain't new. It already happened before. But the difference between other buffer and tether classes is that Somalians insist on living like a tribe on enclaves. The one good thing about racism, and the only good thing about racism, is that racism made tribalism obsolete. Completely and totally obsolete. But the only group out of all Black Caribbean and all Black Africa that are running around here talking about they ain't Black, they're so quick to distance themselves from Black society while listening to hip hop and practicing every single wicked and evil aspect of a stereotypical black culture that has been pushed on us. It has been force fed on us, and they accept this wholesale and run with it. Only them. And that on top of all that, while they're listening to hip hop and becoming rappers and becoming gangsters and becoming drug dealers and becoming pimps and becoming whatchamacallit, credit card fraudsters, by doing all of this, they ain't black. They're not black. Including their imams running around talking about they ain't black. Fine, if you don't want to be black, don't be black. Okay? Don't be black. But you have a purpose. You have a purpose today. And your purpose is a dual purpose in the world of white supremacy, and that is to become a tether and a buffer so that white folks can do what they always been doing and monetize your criminality. You think you're the first one? Who remembers the Jamaicans in the 80s and the 90s? Who remembers that? Y'all remember the Jamaicans? Weren't they running around doing the same stuff? But the main difference is Jamaicans, they knew that they were black, okay? They were doing the same things. And eventually, they calmed right down, right? They were doing this for a good 10, 15 years. You know, they were the most hardcore gangsters, whatnot. They had their posses, their gangs, whatnot, shooting up the streets, shooting up the clubs. They were infamous. But eventually, they came together to clean themselves up. The Somali community getting the same criticisms, and people are afraid to criticize Somalis. Why? Because people view Somalis as a group of crazy people that will kill you if you criticize them. Okay, that's the optics of it. You know, if bipolar was a community, it would be the Somali community. If you can describe bipolar as a community, it would be the Somali community. Why is that? Because Somalis, if you want to describe an ethnic group as bipolar, you have in the Somali community, on one end, these ultra-religious, exceptional minds, and I mean exceptional minds. Like, these guys are incredible with their memory, their ability to recall Quran and Hadith, and just amazing manners and character. And we see them all the time in the Somali. Like, this is an element that we always see. Everybody, knows about this element in the Somali community. Like, they're over the top with their memory. Okay, over the top, the way that they can memorize and recall. But at the other end of the spectrum, this bipolar spectrum, okay, just like you have some people are bipolar, when they talk to you, they're like uberly happy in an instant. They can switch. They can be like extremely angry, like Jekyll and Hyde. This dichotomy that exists in a single person. This dichotomy exists in a single group in the Somalis. Okay. On the other hand, you have this Gog and Magog type. Like the Yajuj and Majuj type. No evil is off the table for them. Not a single evil is off the table for them. And they encourage each other in that wickedness. And they do it in groups without conscious, without even thinking. No thought process. Just act without thinking. And all of them somehow living together in the same community, like Jekyll and Hyde live together in the same body. This dichotomy and lives together in the together in the same community, in close proximity of each other in their enclaves. And the religious class have zero impact and effect on the wicked class, and the wicked class is vice versa. They don't have any effect on the religious class whatsoever. But the second that any outsider has the slightest criticism for the Somali community about their openly criminal element and the corrupt elements within their community, all of the sudden they all come to unite and form like Voltron Force. That's when you can get them to unite. And people are definitely afraid to say it, but today something happened in Ottawa, and people are not being quiet. People are, and white folks, especially white folks, I had never seen this before with regards to Somalis. They are going off on a Somali community. And we, the ones who have been here, the ones who saw Somalis, always saw Somalis as their cousins. Always, like, we welcome the Somali community. Just welcome them. To turn around and have some outrageous distancing yourself from the black community while accepting black culture. Like, it's ridiculous. Outrageous, ridiculous. Remember Saeed Raga? Y'all remember Saeed Raga, right? We talked about, that's one of my most viewed videos, actually, between Saeed Raga and Shadid Muhammad. Remember when that happened? Y'all remember when Saeed Raga and Shadid Muhammad happened, right? And then I did a video about it, showing love for the Somali community. Came to the defense of Sheikh Saeed Raga, because I know him personally, right? So I know he's not racist, but I know he's like that. What he did was absolutely culturally insensitive. Absolutely culturally insensitive, right? But he's not racist. He don't hate black people. But here's the thing about that whole phenomenon. All that smoke that he had for black folk, all that smoke that he had for black folk, telling the Somali community, just kind of throwing the black community underneath the bus and whatnot, right? Very culturally insensitive. The Somali community right now, many, many, many times worse. While we speak, nobody looks at the Somali community as the pillar of anything. The only public Somali, that has any semblance of respect just happens to be Ilhan Omar. That's it. Y'all hearing me? So why are we talking about this today? Because we are the only ones that are going to tell us, the Somali community, this. Like, their own folks won't. Saeed Raga's not telling them this. If Saeed Raga ain't going to tell you this, if you have your own imams pushing the narrative, publicly, I'm not black, I don't even know what that means and stuff, publicly saying that stuff. At the same time, you are suffering exactly what black people are going through. And none of them have the testicular fortitude to tell you the truth. That's not this channel, okay? This is the Black Wrestling. We want to tell you the truth. We're going to tell you the truth. And you're going to hear it today. If nobody else is going to tell you, we're going to tell you. We're not afraid of you. You know what I'm saying? If we're family, then we got to deal with each other like family, correct? We have to deal with each other like family, right? If you are above criticism, you will never approve. What you call it? Improve, correct? If you find yourself above criticism, how are you going to improve? And that's the problem. Everywhere Somalis go, everywhere, they become a pariah. And there's not a place where Somalis don't congregate in their enclaves, except it increases the criminality wherever they go. And y'all acting like this is not happening, and it's happening. Books have been written about it. Documentaries have been made about it. Okay, and y'all still in some la la land somewhere, in some village in Somalia somewhere, while living a good life as Westerners. But anyways, I digress. Let's have a look at this. Let's have a look at this, y'all. 1 second, y'all. Like, subscribe, share me up on Patreon. Now, look. Actually, you know what? Let me show y'all this video first before we continue, because this is definitely is linked in to what we're talking about today. So let me just pull it up. Let me try to find it. Let me just turn this thing off here. Okay, 1 second, y'all. Okay. So after my wife, she came and told me about that thing that happened in Ottawa. We're gonna get to that in a minute. This ended up in my feed. I'm not sure how. Just color a lot. This ended up on my feed, and we're gonna watch this. Okay, 1 second, y'all. Now watch this. Let me just turn up the volume. Okay. This nigga think he a Moroccan or Egyptian. Look at him. 1 second, y'all. Look. He's not black. He's wearing a do rag. He's wearing corn. Like, what is these called again? These cornrows things, right? Absolute black culture. He had the typical black. We know different people groups. 1 second, y'all. 1 second. Y'all can't see what I'm seeing. 1 second, y'all. Let me just add this 1 second, because y'all are missing out. Okay, let's do this again. All right, let's do this again so y'all can see from the beginning, y'all. Like, subscribe, share me up on Patreon. Okay, let's do this again.
Wanna read all your comments. Let me know what you all think in the comments. So shut up. Let's get into this video.
I don't care if I'm the first person to say this, but us Somalis are not black. There's a difference between African and black. Let me ask you a question. Are Moroccans and Egyptians black? Tradition, our history, our culture are so much more different compared to these other countries that are actually black. Josh Bill, if you're not black, what are you? I'm Somali. Let me ask you a question. If you were to see a very dark Indian man, would he be identified as a black person or just an Indian? I don't care if I'm the first person to say this.
So y'all saw it, right? This nigga think he's not black. He's out here with a do-rag, right? He thinks he's an Egyptian or a Moroccan. But again, it's that tribal mentality. And I mentioned before, the only good thing about racism is that it ended that tribal mentality. That's the only good thing. Somalians are the only ones that I know of that are still clinging on to their tribal. So you have black, white, brown, red, yellow, and Somali. That's how he thinks the world works with his do rag. And you can tell people by their racial features. You know what I'm saying? So, black people. Black people are known to have big lips. Big noses, thick noses, type of thing. Dark skin, nappy hair. Asians are known to have the slanted eyes, the flat faces, the flat noses, whatnot. This is not racism. These are the features of the people, right? White folks, they have thin lips, thin noses, whatnot. This is how you describe people. So Somalis now, as you can see, they have the thick lips, these fat cheeks, these button noses, and the 4x4 heads. But three, you could say and they have that kinky hair as well, right? The slightly kinky hair. So when you're saying Somali, what are you saying? You're Somali, you're not black. Like, what does that mean? You're still talking about your whatchamacallit, your community makeup, your tribal makeup. You're still talking like that with your do-rag. So you have this identity crisis, and nobody is forcing you to be black except the very society that you're living in. Okay? And you can learn from those people who came before you. But you out here trying your best to distance yourself from blackness while practicing black culture. Look at his big lips, huge, massive lips, bigger than my lips. Long, nappy hair, 4x4 head, or 8 head, whatever you want to call it. Do-rag, but he's still not black. Fine, don't be black. Nobody's begging you to be black. But y'all remember, we showed a video here, maybe a few months ago, maybe last year, I think, about the Somalian kids who got assaulted by the police. We showed the video here. It's on the channel, right? What did the police call these? What did these kids call? These Somali kids were assaulted by these white kids, and the police arrested the Somali kids. Okay, what were these white kids calling the Somali kids? Somebody put in the chat, please. Don't just say the first letter of the word. Don't put the whole word. Don't put the whole word. Just put the first letter of the word, please. I'm not black. I don't even know what that means. We are not black. We are Africans. Are Moroccans? Are you a Moroccan Negro? Like, what the hell is... What? Anyways, do you have a mirror? The most woefully lacking self-aware group I've ever seen. Absolutely no self-awareness. What did these white kids who assaulted these Somali kids, and the police came and arrested the Somali kids, what did the white kids call the Somali kids? What letter does it start with? What word? Somebody put it in the chat, please. Somebody put it in the chat. That this is some crazy stuff, man. There's not a place that Somalis go except they start filling up the jails instantly. And you think that's an accident? That's a fluke? You're not black? You're Somali? What? Thank you. Thank you, Sister Tika. It's the N-word. They ain't calling you the Somali word. They're calling y'all the N-word. You're trying so hard not to be black. Don't be black then. Okay, fine. Don't be black. Don't be black. You're not black. Okay, you're not black. You're not black. You can tell that to the police when they arresting you. They arresting you anyways. They chasing you all over the country, right? There's not a y'all think I'm tripping. Look, I'm gonna show y'all something. Okay, I'm just gonna do this off the cuff, right? I'm just guessing. Okay, Somalis, they only make up a few thousand people in Canada. As far as let me just pull this up. 1 second, y'all, so y'all can see. 1 second. 1 second. Let me show y'all something. See, y'all need to hear this because you are being played. You just got here. Instead of asking the people who were here before you what's going on, you're out here doing some madness. Anyways, look here, Somali Canadians. Okay, most Somalis arrived in Canada between 1980s from Somalia and early 1990s as refugees, with a secondary migration from the United States. According to Statistics Canada, there are 62,550 persons of Somali origin spread across Canada. How many? Not even 100,000. 62,000. Okay, it's not that much. But wherever they go, they live in enclaves. You get it? They live in enclaves. So the enclaves, they live here in Canada. First Toronto, then Ottawa, and I think Calgary. Somebody can correct me for that. But I'm just going to go off the cuff here. Okay? Just out of the blue. We are just going to look where they live. We're just going to look where they live only. Okay? See, this is why you need to respect the people that were here before you. Look at here. I'm going to type in Toronto's most wanted and see what we find. Okay? I'm going to share this now. 1 second, y'all. Okay, you can see here, Toronto's most wanted, Toronto Police Service, most wanted. Look at this. Very first person, Yasser Mohammed, Somali. Second person, Muhammad Abdullahi, Somali. This person I know, it looks like some I don't know. And this one here, Abdurrahman Jimal, Somali. Any more? Of course there's more. Are you kidding me? Look. Jabril Elmi, Somali. Aldomanam Abdullah, Somali. Nadamiyab, Somali. Like what is going on here? You know, there are approximately 2 million people living in Toronto. 2 million. There are 62,000 Somalis in Canada, spread across Canada. Let's say that 50,000 are living in Toronto only. How is it that you have this much representation in Toronto's Most Wanted? How? And look at these crimes. Homicide, homicide, homicide. Where's the other ones? Homicide. Jabril Elmi, homicide. Abdulmunam Abdullah, homicide. Nadim Mia, homicide. Ubayd Saeed, homicide. Faisal Omar, homicide. Are you kidding me? Ibrahim Muhammad Ibrahim, homicide. All Somalis. Like Toronto's most wanted, maybe 30, 40% of them are Somalis. Okay? If we say this, though, it's a big problem. If we say it. But y'all don't want to talk about it. What your imams are doing is an incredible disservice to your community. Because they are telling you about the black folks, but they're not telling you about your folks. Incredible disservice. And you have all these imams, these big scholars. Like, how are you that so close, but yet so far away from what's going on in your community? It's shameful. Shameful. And we haven't even talked about what happened in Ottawa yet. Wait till you see what's going on in Ottawa, bro. 1 second, y'all. We're not done. That was Toronto's most wanted. There is also a Somalian diaspora here in Ottawa. So Somali against Pan-Africans, he corrected me. He said there's 150,000 Somalis in Canada. 150,000. Okay, so there's approximately 2 million people in Toronto. Let's say 100,000 of those 150,000 live in Toronto. Let's hypothetically, right? How are they still representing 30, 40% of Toronto's most wanted? How is that possible? How? Let's keep going, y'all. This is insanity. We're going to do Ottawa's most wanted. I'm just doing this off the cuff, y'all. I'm doing this off because I know that there's a diaspora, a Somali diaspora here in Ottawa. Y'all hearing me? So I'm just doing this off, off the cuff like this. So we're going to do Ottawa's most wanted. One second, y'all. Let me pull this up. And make sure, if you're Somali, make sure you share this with your community, because this is insane. You cannot be this unself-aware. Like, how? How is that possible? Okay, so this is Ottawa's most wanted. Oh, look at that. The very first person. The first guy with a big old picture. Muhammad Shiri. Are y'all seeing this? Can y'all can see this, right? Very first person in Ottawa's most wanted. Muhammad Shiri. Homicide. Who's this guy? Where's the rest of them, man? Well, you know, Ottawa don't have that much crime, anyways. To be honest, Ottawa's not it's a very quiet city. There's not much crime going on here. But representing Ottawa, the one, the only Muhammad Shiri. You got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. Ottawa's very quiet. There's like a shooting happening here is a big deal. Okay. It's a big deal. But y'all might remember, like a couple of years ago, what's his name? Abdurrahman something. I can't remember. The brother, Somali brother who had mental issues, and the police didn't deal with him right? He ended up being killed by the police. Right? They're not mental health experts. Somalis up until this day are protesting that. Up until this day, demanding justice, Let me try to find that thing for you anyways. And the girl out there in Alberta that got slaughtered, literally slaughtered like a pig, throat sliced in the club. Somali sister, I can't remember her name. Maybe y'all can put her name in it. I'm gonna do this day, small community protesting that. But this is what the rest of the world sees when it comes to the Somali community. This is what we see. Okay, let me show y'all. Because y'all, let me just pull this up. Are Moroccans black? are Egyptians black? Like, what are you, fool? What are you talking about? What are you talking about, man? That Somali brother is foolish to say he's not black with a do-rag on his head. Like, exactly. It's insane. The what you call it? The identity crisis. You get me? You have your Somali culture, which you have this long lineage of your families, like long lineage, Semitic people. Somalis are Semitic people, right? They have the same language, same religion, same culture, culturally very, very similar, no matter where they are from Somalia, right? And then they come over here and instantly, very, 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 I've never seen the people get manipulated like this. They are the most easily manipulated in terms of white supremacy, more than anybody else I've ever witnessed as a community, right? Very eager to live off the system, okay? Live off of the spoofs, the what you call it, the benefits of the countries and whatnot. Very easy to do that, and very, very easy influence into criminality. Yes, that's her, Hodan Hashi. Thank you. Ayakumullah. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see some of these comments here. Stupid amounts of violence and warfare in East Africa. Yeah, exactly. Here's the thing. Dr. Sebastian Longstaff made an excellent point. Your countries, they themselves, especially what's going on in East Africa right now, what happened in Somalia, whatever, the white supremacists are making you fight each other to control your lands and your countries, and you leave that to come all the way all over here, not to fight the white supremacists, but to fight us and make sure that you let the world know that you are not us. Okay, buddy. Okay. Brother Hanif. May Allah make it easy for our Somali brothers and sisters. They have the culture hasn't been interrupted through slavery and as FBA. You have Islam as well. Don't squander this. Well, this is the thing, right? In Islam, there's Islam and then there's cultural Islam. You get me? And what we are seeing is the exposure of cultural Islam in the West. Cultural Islam is being exposed left, right, and center. And we're seeing it more and more and more and more and more. Cultural Islam will eventually fade away and die. It has no place to go. Those people who are clinging on to their culture and calling it Islam, that is going to end. Why do you say that, Bilal? It's because Islam by nature is expansionist. So what you should be doing is going out to the very same black folk that you are trying to get your children to separate from and make dawah to them. When Islam came to the Arabs were exactly like these Negroes. Ignorant, violent, irrational. They even have a term for it in Arabic, the Arabic language. They call it jahiliyyah. The jahiliyyah means the times of ignorance. We black folk in the West, we are living in a time of ignorance, but there is an awakening happening. And all you cultural Muslims are doing is trying to distance yourself from the very same people who need that message and attach yourself to Zadi. That's all you're trying to do. And the more you try to cling on to Zaddy and Pharaoh and their systems and whatnot, the more you're going to watch your culture crumble right before your eyes. You are running to Zaddy to protect your people. Imagine that. Imagine going to Pharaoh and saying, "Oh, please, Pharaoh, give me my rights. Let me pray in my masjid, and please don't teach my children in school about LGBT." You know how ridiculous you look? You look ridiculous. You look funny. Out there in the streets protesting about LGBTs and stuff. You look ridiculous. You just got here. What are you protesting for? Wasn't your very same countries that you left in cargo boxes and planes and stuff, refugees needing to buy your own tickets? You left those countries to come to the countries of the very same people who caused the upheaval and the dissent in your own countries. To do what? Why do you think that they would do something like that for? Why? Because they have a conscience? No. These people have no conscience. They know who they're going to fill the prisons up with. They know. They know who they're going to target to keep the prison industrial complex going. Congratulations. I'm not black. Congratulations. You have just taken the place of a lot of Jamaicans. Thank you. And Haitians. Very good. And on top of that, you're happy to do so. It's like you're so glad and happy and proud to be the new criminal class. Not knowing what's coming for you, because the same thing that happened to them is going to happen to you. This is coming. Trust me. The same thing that happened to the Jamaicans, the same thing that happened to the Asians is going to happen to you, but it's going to happen many, many times worse. Many times worse. Because it's not just a few communities here or there that are looking at the Somali community like a pariah. It's everybody looking at the same way. That's everybody. We are waiting for these good images of Somalis. At least the Jamaicans, they have Marcus Garvey. At least the Haitians, they have, the Fugees and stuff. Okay, the Fugees. Right? Who Somalis got? They got this dude out in Japan talking about, you know that guy I'm talking about? John Somali or something? His name is John Somali. You know what I'm talking about, right? This guy went viral for doing the most outlandish, outrageous, nonsensical things so that those Japanese can call him nigger. While Somalis are saying, "Oh, we're not black." Yeah, that's him, Johnny Somali. Anyways, I'm off on tangents. I'm so sorry, man, but we going in tonight. It's a long weekend, so we going in. Like, subscribe, share. Hit me up on Patreon, y'all. Make sure you like this video. Share it if you have Somali fans. Share this with them. Y'all need to see this. Right? I'm doing y'all a favor. Okay? This is insane. What were we talking about? We're talking about what happened in Ottawa. 1 second, y'all. 1 second. We talked about Said Raga. We talked about Shimon. We talked about Somali's talking about, I ain't black, I'm Somali. We talk about all that stuff. Now this is a new thing. Show you. Now remember, in the beginning I said, my wife told me that there was a shooting at a wedding in Ottawa. If she just said a shooting, I wouldn't know. I would have no clue, because shooting could be anybody. But the second she said shooting at a wedding, my first thought, that's a Somali move. Only Somalis would do something that crazy. I didn't know. She didn't know because there were no names. They had no names, no nothing. Right? All they said was that there was a shooting at a wedding, at some banquet hall, and I said Somalis instantly. Right? Well, anyways, here is the CTV post on Twitter. If y'all can see that. Okay, this is CTV post. Ottawa police have identified the victims of a shooting outside of Ottawa wedding venue as Saeed Muhammad Ali. And mind you, Saeed spelled like said, that's a typical Somali spelling. And Abdi Shakur Abdi Daher, 29. Both from Toronto. 6 other people were hurt in the shooting. Okay? So that's the CTV Ottawa X post on Twitter, or what formerly Twitter, now known as X. Okay? But wait, y'all ain't seen nothing yet. Y'all ain't seen nothing yet. Wait till you see what the white folks are saying about you, the ones that you are trying to get close to, because you ain't black, you Somali. Like you ain't running around the world with dark skin, thick lips, and you know, type nappy hair or whatever. And Cyber Organized Inc. He said Muslims killing Muslims, subhanallah, right? But here's the thing, bro. We have to make a distinction here. We have to make a very clear distinction. Remember in the beginning when I said if bipolar was a community, it would be Somalian? If you could describe bipolar with a community, just say Somalian, and everybody would understand instantly. They know what you're talking about. If they know Somali community, they know. Because you have these ultra religious and these ultra evil. And there's very few in between. Like either they're ultra religious or ultra evil. And the in between is like not so many. Okay? But and somehow they all coexist. I don't know how they do it. However, the ultra evil ones are Muslim how? Like how? What part? You're talking about people who don't pray, don't fast, don't go to the mosque, don't pray, don't go to Jummah. The only thing they know how to do is when they're arguing is say wallahi. So much so that wallahi became a part of Toronto jargon. Okay? Even non-Muslims talk about wallahi when they want to argue wallahi. Non-Muslims saying it because I guess that's a good thing to Somalians, but when they say wallahi, they lying through the teeth. Okay? They're saying wallahi, but they lying. They just out here just the straight out, They are lying.
Stop the cap.
Just wallahi, and the second you say wallahi, he capping. You know he capping. Wallahi. And they say like wallahi 20 times before they get a word out. But anyways, I digress. So we're saying like Muslim how? Muslim how? If you look in Canada's Most Wanted today, I looked at it before, because I'm like, what the heck? So I didn't look at Toronto Most Wanted or Ottawa. I looked at Canada's Most Wanted. Give me a break. You know, let me just no. We'll do that later, man. But anyways, give me a break, man. But anyways, y'all ain't seen nothing yet. Let me just pull this thing up here. Y'all ain't seen nothing yet. Okay. 1 second, yo. How do I share this? Let me just 1 second. We do something different. 1 second, yo. This is crazy, man. I'm gonna get to y'all comments in a minute. Okay. But like I keep saying, like, subscribe, share, hit me up on Patreon. And this is the only place you're gonna get this at the Black Grassroots. This is the only place you're gonna get this. One second, yo. Let me pull this up again. So I'm gonna pull this up in Twitter. Okay. So this is CTV Ottawa. Let me pull this up. There's a CTV Ottawa. Okay, look at some of these comments, man. Master Chief, I'm shocked. Are you shocked? Joe Nolan, deport all of them. Xavier Roder, white supremacy. These guys are going off. They are going off. Winston Smith, I'm shocked by the names. They're being sarcastic, very sarcastic. And that they're from Toronto. Like, and it's not just only white folks, it's black folks, it's everybody. Everybody's giving Somalians that work. Like everybody, all coming together. And they're all like this. Law-abiding scholars out for an easy moose hunting season. Why aren't the Bob Smiths and the James Jones shooting up the urban countryside? It's all like this. I never seen anything like that. If you go to the X post, go to the X post. You'll see for yourself. I'm not making this up. Read the comments. Look at this one. Diversity is our strength. An idiot. See, what y'all don't know, when the Jamaicans were wilding out and they were getting arrested en masse, eventually they all got deported. Mass deportations. And that cleaned up, that basically changed, the whole Jamaica thing. You don't really hear about Jamaicans that much anymore. They were getting arrested just like y'all. But what's going to happen with the Somalians, right? It's not that just that they're going to be deported. But I promise, because y'all in the Horn of Africa, okay, you don't realize how desired your land is by Zaddy and them. Your land is extremely important geopolitically. That's why you've been facing problems since white folks got there, while you're not black. Your land is the port from the Arab world and East Africa into Europe. Somalia specifically. Y'all are fighting. You don't know why you're fighting, but you're just fighting. Selling 300 camels for a single gun. I'm not making that up. These are real numbers, okay? 300 camels for a single gun to shoot up people, when white folks first got there. Why do those names not sound like Canadian? See, what y'all don't know is that the next Prime Minister of Canada is not going to be a liberal. It's not going to be Justin Trudeau. I'm calling it right now. The next Prime Minister of Canada is going to be a conservative. The next prime minister of Canada is going to be conservative. And when that prime minister comes, this shooting in Ottawa, I promise you is going to come up. And then they're going to look just like how that person posted on that Twitter feed. Toronto's most wanted, Ottawa's most wanted. They're going to do the same thing. Okay? And they're going to see a whole lot of Somalians. And they are going to make it a part of their program without saying Somalian like they always do. They're going to say these immigrants because that's how they use language. They're going to say these immigrants are coming here and we don't know who they are and they're just increasing crime, and that's what they're going to say. And just like in the late 90s, when the Somali community tried to bring the Bloods gang into Toronto, like a franchise, they tried that crap in Toronto, and they got stomped out with the quickness. With the quickness, they got stomped out. Nobody was thinking about franchising the Bloods except for the Somali. They're the only ones who thought that, okay, we're going to spend all this money to, become the Bloods. They brought the gang starter kit from LA. Got stomped out. When this conservative prime minister comes out, I promise you, you're going to be front and center. In Canada, you're going to be front and center. How do you know? Like, it's all happened before. You ain't the first ones. You are just the most, completely clueless ones. More clueless than I ever seen in my entire life. Absolutely clueless. Woefully clueless. Outrageously clueless. That's who y'all are. You don't like good advice. You like to live in some, I don't know what to say it is, man. Every single check mark for the white supremacists, you're hitting all of them. And you're happy to hit them too. You are a buffer class. Okay, what's a buffer class? We talked about this before, right? A buffer class is people who are from some other group somewhere else who essentially are used to prevent black folk, like the black folk that are here, right, the descendants of slaves, from getting what is due rightfully theirs at the same time as identifying as black. So if you look at the black Muslim associations, wherever you go, it's all Somalians, right? So you're black when it comes to that, when it comes to get government spiffs and whatnot. Well, real black folk like us, the ones who are here, you think the government's giving us anything? Come on, man. Come on. You think the government gonna give us anything? They'll give it to you. And then they will say, yeah, we're giving stuff to the black folks. Look, here is our black folks. And there you are. Here come the Somalians. You're also a tether at the same time. Okay? What's a tether? A tether is a African or a Caribbean, like me, but I'm born and raised Canada. Okay? Some black person that is not originally from, you know, America or wherever slavery was. Okay, not originally from there. Okay, and what do? They identify with the descendants of slaves, right? They identify with them, but at the same time, disparage their history, disparage their legacy, and disparage their lineage in order to benefit from the struggle that we struggle for, but you didn't have to do. Right? Did any Somalians ever have to struggle with civil rights? No. Any Africans have to struggle with civil rights? No. They didn't have to do any of that. They didn't have to do any of that stuff. But they benefit from it, and they take the benefit, happily take the benefit, but at the same time say, "Oh, I'm not black. I'm like that." That is a tether. You get it? That is a tether. Mm-hmm. The the prison industrial complex was specifically built for black people. Okay, the prison industrial complex. So the prison industrial complex really took off. It really started after slavery with black codes and vagrant laws and things of this nature. Just looking for reasons to arrest black people, rearrest them, and put them right back into slavery. And they called it convict leasing in those days after slavery and whatnot. And then it really took off after the civil rights movement, after Nixon and Reagan, with the war on drugs, this fake war on drugs, which Nixon, again, he explicitly said he wants to, and he said, and he used the word, we got to get the niggers and the hippies. He said that. The niggers and the hippies. So he grouped black folk with the hippies, the ones who were actually doing the drugs. Okay? The one who actually, I want some of y'all to hop on with me. I'm going to leave the link in the chat here. Somebody come in and help me out with this, man. Links in the chat. Somebody help me out. Okay? So anyways, with Reagan and the Iran-Contra, which Ronald Reagan approved with Oliver North, with the help of Oliver North, to essentially sell cocaine in black communities, sell crack cocaine in black communities, to bypass Congress so that he could buy weapons off of the Iranians and sell them to the Nicaraguans to fight communism. This is what he did. And then the owners of prison capital saw an opportunity. They seen the popularity of rap music, how popular rap music was. Okay? And rap music was changing the game. Rap music, it was rap music, by the way. It was rap music and its popularity and its positivity that was having an impact on the crack epidemic. And the Nation of Islam, let's call it what it is. Let's call it a buck. So many rappers were influenced by the Nation of Islam because wherever they went, they're very strong in the 80s and the 90s. Wherever they went, they cleaned up house. Okay? Let's call it what it is today. What did they do? They saw the popularity of this music, and like they always do, they infiltrated it. They infiltrated rap music. They took it over. In the early 80s, they said that rap music was dying. It was a fad that was going to die out. It was not a fad, and it is not even close to dying out. Now it might, because it's so heavily infiltrated and the product is terrible. It's not sustainable like this. But I digress. They purchased and bought out all the labels that were obviously owned by black folk. Then you have people like Lear Cohen and the people who cannot be named, that group, the Whoish group, okay? The Whoish group. They were the ones that pushed gangster rap. You Somalians were not here for that. You did not witness that. You did not see that. You got here and all you saw was gangster rap. That's all you saw. You didn't see all the hell we had to go through with these people. And you didn't see the play, you didn't see the game, and how they weaponized the music against us in order to feed the prison machines. So you got influenced at the tail end. And that machine did exactly what it's supposed to do to your people. Exactly what it's supposed to. Y'all thought it was like that all the time. It wasn't. Rap music was changing the community. And as quickly as it was changing the community, is as quickly as it got infiltrated. And because you never witnessed infiltration like that, y'all just accepted it wholesale. So now here we are, 2023, and the whole world know about these thick-lipped, fat-cheeked, 4x4 head Somalians, and ain't got nothing good to say. Salaam Alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Brother Hanif.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
What you got for us, Sheikh?
Basically, just listening, man. I would just like to give some advice. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wassalam ala Rasulillah. My bad. Basically, man, I just want this particular community to learn lessons from the past. You know, the Quran in it is stories, which makes up half of the Quran, of which we supposed to learn from, get some benefit from, and to look at our reality or our existence to see the similarities in the stories. One ayah that comes to mind when Allah tells us to travel throughout the earth to see what transpired with those that came before us. So from this, Allah is encouraging us to travel through the land, but also to study history, civilizations. And when you're new to a country, then it will be advantageous to you and your group to study the various groups in the country that you migrated to. And this is one of the problems that I'm seeing with many who come from other lands. They don't look at the African American history. They don't look at what transpired. And then they don't look at how they could possibly fit in because they feel that they're different. And from a certain angle, they are different. But from another angle, you're not different. You're viewed as the same. So it's many things that happen within the African American community or the Afro Canadian community that will transpire with these new communities if they continue to adopt negative aspects of so-called Black culture, which I don't understand why they call this negative stuff Black culture. Every culture has some positive and some negative, but because we don't control our own image, the negative is viewed as the culture. This is very problematic. But the people who come here, they don't look at that. And unfortunately, through misplaced aggression, they do what? They join the dominant group in criticizing.
Black folk.
Right.
Well, that's the play, right? That's the play, and we said it all. We say it all the time on this channel that the Black struggle is the Muslim struggle. All you have to do to see what the plan is for Muslims is look at Black people. Every single thing that's happened to Muslims, it already happened to Black people already.
Indeed.
You know, they didn't see it. They were trying to get close to whiteness, you know, because back in their countries, they've been told about us even before they got here. And we didn't know, you know what I mean? We just seeing our cousins, you know what I mean? Like we're looking at, you know, we're looking at them like our long lost family. But they don't see us like that. They see us in the eyes of the white supremacists. You get me? I don't know if I told this story before. I'm going to tell it again. When I went to Yemen, I was in the match. Okay, well, this time I was in Sana'a, but I was in Sana'a this time. I was trying to get some CDs, right? So I was looking for CDs for Sheikh Albani, rahimahullah. Okay, so I go into this CD shop. Okay, and it's a young Yemeni brother there, and I'm going to buy these CDs, and I'm speaking to him in Arabic. And he speaks to me in English. He can recognize that, you know, I'm not an Arab, obviously, right? So he's asking me where I'm from. He wants to practice his English. So I start talking in English, right? And so I'm from Canada, blah, 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 blah. He goes, oh, mashallah. And then he goes, you know, I love Canada. I love America, blah, blah, blah. And then he goes, you know, and then he starts talking to me about Malcolm X. So you know what he said? This is what he said, okay? He said, okay, you know, there's a man in America, very famous man. I can't remember. What's that nigger's name? Malcolm X. Wallah, you said it. What's that nigger's name? Malcolm X. Right? That's how he said it. Right? But why did he say it like that? He said it like that because he's watching American media. And what are they teaching the world about Black folk in the West? They're teaching them what? That we are what?
Negative.
We're niggas. You get it? So they learn that even before they get here. You get me?
Yeah, and that's very problematic because like you mentioned when you was doing your analysis with the bipolarism amongst the Somalis, right? And this is what's going to happen, as you mentioned. They're going to be known for the violence.
Yeah.
This the point. This the point I'm getting at. They're not going to look at those who memorize the Quran, those who work, those who take.
Nor do they care. What does a non-Muslim care about a Somali who memorized Quran and Hadith?
But my whole point is they're not going to look at the positive characteristics. Mm-hmm. They're going to focus on the negative, and then they're going to blow the negative out of proportion. I'll give you an example. You know, most of the time when we exit our homes or we exit our vehicles, we lock the door. And we lock the door. Why? For the most part, we don't want anyone breaking in, right? But the reality is that your car may get broken in, it may not. it's a high chance it won't get broken in.
Mhm.
But we lock it. Why? Because of criminal elements.
Exactly.
But those criminal elements are the minority.
Mhm.
So you have this minority group that changes the behavior of the majority.
Mhm.
And so we lock our doors. And I'm
Mhm.
not saying anything is wrong with it. I'm just saying how this small population has an effect on the larger population.
Mhm.
So what happens because of the I guess you could say because it's polarized, the event is polarized. What happens is that that's the main talk, that small group and what they do.
Mhm.
The problem is that the majority of the people who don't engage in that behavior, they get lumped in. This is what has happened to us here in America. This is what happened to the Jamaicans,
Well,
as you mentioned.
also, brother, you got to remember that there's a quirk in the Somali culture that prevents them from critically analyzing their own community. Every community essentially has this element where they're going to critically analyze their people and critique them in order to improve. But Somalians, they don't have that element. All they have is this togetherness, be together no matter what, right? But points of flight.
Salaam
Can you hear
Alaikum.
me? Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi. What you got for us, bro?
Bismillah. I think that you kind of touched on it when you said that like they already had that mind state. So they're taught certain things about us before they get here. I would go
Mhm.
so far to say many of them probably learned these things from their parents because their parents were, sort of, indoctrinated by the Europeans. They're like, bro, you don't know how many times I've seen Somalis like on the internet talking about those they do call black in Somalis. They call them like the Bantus, and they like brag about like say things like we enslaved them and
Well,
your people are slaves, and they look down on other black Africans like in Africa. I done seen like many of them say this. That's a fact. So a lot of this sickness is a sickness that was already in them before they came. So that's why it's so easy for them to say things like the younger brother that was saying like I'm not black.
yeah.
To be honest, I don't think, at least for the FBA people, I don't think like we even care if you call yourself black or not.
Well, here's the thing: when you have a very strong communal tribal elements in your culture, and then suddenly the white supremacist comes, right, and says you are this thing, you are black. You got to remember, Somali culture is incredibly monolithic. Like, I'll give you this story. This is a true story. Okay. Now, as you know, I went to Yemen, right? This is a different Yemeni story. And there's this, in Yemen, they have their own communities in the community, right? So you have the Somali community, the Indian community, the Moroccan community. They all kind of hung out together, right? So I'm Canadian, right? There's very few Canadians. I used to mix with like all the people, right? So one day the Somalians are I'm at this brother's house, right? He invited me to the Somali brother from Canada, right? And I went to his house, and he starts eating, right? This is a true story, okay? Now, when he starts eating, he starts doing this thing. He goes like he's eating like that, right? So now in Western culture, right, is this acceptable?
Oh no,
No,
smacking.
no, we don't accept that, right? It's very rude, right? It's very obnoxious, right? But he's eating like this. But I didn't think much of it, right? So because I love the I didn't say anything, I was like, okay, maybe that's just how we eat, whatever, right? But in Western culture, it's not acceptable, right? So now I go to a Somali dinner, and they invited me for dinner. The Somali brothers are cooking their food or whatnot, and they invite me. So it's all Somalis there, okay? And I won't lie, okay? The whole place, all of them, like at least 20, 30 brothers. I'm like, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm like losing my mind. Like this is like so, you know? right? But it's a cultural thing, right? It's a cultural thing. The reason why, uh, for them, they have this thing about black and whatnot is because culturally they're monolithic. Nobody came and told them, this is rude. You get it? Nobody
Right.
came and told them this stuff. Nobody told them, like, look, man, like, what you're doing is out of pocket. You can't be doing that stuff. And if you tell them that as a group, they get incredibly defensive because that's their culture. You get me?
Hey, Aki, well, hold on, though. We gotta stop making excuses for them people, man. Like they know better. At a certain point, you know better, man. Come on. Like so, Somalis done told me younger ones that they go to, they done went to like the Gulf countries
Hmm.
and like Lebanon and like the Arabs there are called them like racist names,
Hmm.
like
Well,
Abid and
I'm,
stuff.
I'm
They
not. I'm not.
know, they
I'm not.
know. So why do they
I'm,
keep doing this?
I'm not convinced that they do actually know better. I'm not convinced of that, right? But what I am convinced of
I am.
is that if there is no self-reflection, right, then they are headed for some very, 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 very tough times because they're going to be shipped back to their countries from all over the world all at the same time. The world right now, these Western countries that they're fleeing to, they're all leaning right politically, all of them, without exception. Right? If you go to Sweden, they are increasing the crime rates in Sweden. They're increasing the crime rates here in Canada. Looking, I haven't done it, but I bet you if you look at Minneapolis Most Wanted, it's going to be riddled with Somalis. I haven't done it. I'm just guessing. Okay, right? So, and that's the problem. If you don't have the ability to self-analyze, then you're going to have these issues. You get it? Go ahead. Either one of you can talk. Don't let me dominate now. I know
I,
I talk a lot, man.
I was waiting for the bro. He may have been finished,
Yeah.
but pretty much, man, that's pretty much what I had to say, man. It's to me, it's a lack of looking at social dynamics, psychosocial dynamics, historiography, and using that to help you maneuver.
Hmm.
Like you mentioned earlier, all you had to do was come ask us because
Hmm.
we done been through it. We've already been through it,
Exactly.
and it's none of that.
Hmm.
So now you just wandering aimlessly and you think you're correct. Some think they're correct.
Hmm.
And so this is very problematic.
Hmm.
So my advice to them is, you know your history. You know it very well. You know your tribes, your Kabyles, all of that. You know all of that.
Hmm.
That's cool. But you have to be able to navigate here. And so you
Exactly.
have to you have to you have to study what transpired here and
Exactly.
what's going on now and what's prevalent now that stems from the past. Why?
Exactly.
Again, so you can navigate. And me personally, in my dealing with various immigrant communities,
Hmm.
I don't see this happening. I just see this willingness to ride the coattail of Zaddy,
Hmm.
and that's it.
The
Yep.
reason why you don't see any willingness for them to come along and do the things that you suggested is because when they come here and they see themselves in competition with you, and they're thinking about like this is a race, so they're trying to get what you have, or so, or think you have certain rights, and you're kind of like the dominant so-called black group in the country. They want to usurp you. They want those crumbs
Hmm.
that's falling from Zaddy's table. So they
Hmm.
don't want any sort of cooperation with you unless it's beneficial to them. They want to
Agree.
they want to supersede you. You
And
understand? So
and
they want to make sure Zaddy know we're not with these niggas over here. We're a
exactly.
separate
That's
group. We're
that's the
not them.
point. That's the point. Exactly.
Indeed.
And
How's that working for him?
yeah, exactly. And Somali against Pan Africans, he made the point. This is the point, right? The whole point is that clanism does not work in race-based society. That might be fine where you're from in Somalia, being a clan or whatever. It might work for you all over there, but this is not Somalia. This is not
Yeah,
Somalia,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
And if
yeah.
y'all don't get it together, and here's the thing with the wider Muslim immigrant community. Okay, by and large, all of them they fall into this. They want to get in the good graces of white folks, right? So they pretty much get rich off the black community. They come in, the Arabs come in, and the Pakistanis or whatnot. They open up their shops in the black community, get rich off the black community, put their kids through college and schools off the backs of the black community. But what they don't realize is that those very same children, who are they listening to culturally?
Oh, hip hop.
So
Mr. Black.
you might think the logical thing to do is to reach out to the people that you're trying to avoid and bring them to Islam. But they don't think like that. What they
That
tell
sounds too much like common sense.
exactly, way too much like common sense. You know what I mean? You might think that perhaps, it's in my best interest and the best interest of my family to reach out to the people that are influencing my sons and my daughters and show them the greatness of Islam. But they do the
Especially the
opposite.
ones that pray with.
They do the opposite thing. What they do is they tell their children the worthlessness of black society. You get it?
Indeed.
So much so that even you have white supremacist imams now. White supremacist imams. You have Hassan Ali Kitani talking about, if you say anything about the black guys, you talk about the black, quote unquote, inverted commas, black guys, they'll arrest you. Like, what is you talking about right now? Black people run this society? They are the ones who are in control, who gets arrested and who's not. Then why are so many of us in jails and the people that you're pandering to are free? You get me? This is what they do, right? So that's
Yeah, I
why.
mean, just a lot of misinformed statements, like just saying like super silly things like that. Like, dude, just stop twerking so hard for
For
the
Zaddy.
pale pink people. Like,
Yeah,
it's like ridiculous, man. Like,
yeah.
if it wasn't for the internet, though, I probably wouldn't even see like a lot of these people. Like, I don't even, it'd be hard for me to exist to believe that people could be that ignorant or
Yeah.
that much of a sycophant to like say things that like anybody in the states, anybody in the Americas,
Mm.
they would know when they hear him say that that's definitely not true. They're
Yeah.
gonna look at him like he a clown, whether it's in the Caribbean, Canada, the US, like they gonna laugh at this guy. Even the pink people know this guy's full of stuff, but
Yeah.
he must be sucking up to us because he want to be accepted by us. Even they know this.
Mm. You know, Ali Dawah, right?
Yeah.
Okay, everybody knows Ali Dawah, right? So Ali Dawah did a video a couple of weeks ago. I was gonna do a response video to it, but I'm trying to raise the level of the channel so we could talk about important stuff instead of YouTubians, right? But of course, he's trying to get eyes on his channel. So what does he do? He does a video. He does a
Nation.
video. That's the one. Yeah, even you know. That's the one. All right, even you. Before I even said it, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's one of the biggest ones lately.
Yeah, when they want to get rich, the very first place there's big money in disparaging black folk. You get it? You can get rich off of disparaging black folk. Big money. So, and that's exactly what he did. He went to the Nation of Islam, platform, and of course, called him. I'm not trying to make takfir. I'm not trying to make takfir. But anybody who says Elijah Muhammad is Allah is a kafir. This is the dawah that they make in the black people. This is that, and watch him talk to
But
white
the,
folks.
but the Nation of Islam, they don't say that Elijah Muhammad is Allah though.
We know
First,
that.
he got to understand what they believe before you
Yeah,
debate them.
we know that. Black people know that. And black people watching him are going to call him what? After he said that. What are they going to say about him?
He a goofy. Don't know what he talking about.
Exactly. That's exactly what they're going to say. And I'm positive that's exactly what they said anyway. I know that's what they said, because anybody who said that, they're going to see the language he used for black people. They're going to go and find his talks with white folks and see the difference. It's so easy to see.
Yep.
They have
different emotions.
Different language for black people than they do for white people. Totally different language, right? Yeah. Where are his videos going around to the Brailleys saying, I'm not trying to make takfir, and meanwhile his back is turned to the nation and he's speaking to the crowd. This is dawah. How many times have you ever seen somebody, I'm making dawah to you, I'm gonna have my back turned to you like this, my back turned to you, and I'm speaking to the crowd, not to you, telling the crowd that you are a kafir and calling it that dawah. Search his videos and find that where he does that to a Braywali or a Diobandi or whatever, or a white person.
He says he's a Turk. You don't even hear him address the ills that's going on in his fatherland.
Exactly. His people, he comes from the Alawis or whatnot. He don't give Alawi. I've never, not once, seen him give an Alawi. I'm not sure what the population of Alawis are there in his country. Not once have I seen him give him that work like that. Not once. Turn his back to him and start, dissing him. They're saying, "Oh, I'm just making dawah." You get me? But that's how they see us. And there's great money, a lot of money to be made off of disparaging the suffering of black folk and minimizing it. It's always been monetized.
Oh, indeed.
There's not been a time since white supremacy started that disparaging black folk has not been monetized or funded. Not a single second.
Yeah, they kind of learned that well from their Europe. They kind of learned that well from their European, role models, man, to be parasitic and make a living off black people.
Well, you got to thank the black grifters also, the Sambos, as many of us call them.
Yeah,
they the ones who started that trend.
Yeah, I mean, this Ali Dawah, the same Ali Dawah that can do entire video on Fresh and Fit about how they're saying that Zina is this and Zina, and they're not even talking about Islam, mind you. It's just that that guy Myron from Fresh and Fit, he said that men should sleep with 50 women before they get married. Let's talking some nonsense, right? Myron, who didn't talk about Islam, okay? Sudanese Myron, right? It's very clear that he's not a practicing, very obvious. He did an entire video about that, but didn't address Myron wearing a Klan hood, saying the N-word every 2 seconds, and calling another black man a monkey.
Did he get in trouble for that?
Yeah, that's what he got. Yeah, that's what they got demonetized for. They got demonetized for that.
I don't think they got demonetized for that. Like I watched that clips from that episode. They had the white dude on there, Zerka, and he kept going at the Jewish chick. Kept saying all type of stuff about Jews, like just like horrible things. Like she showed, to be honest, she showed more class than he did. But on the same episode, Myron, when he's buck dancing for the Euro Americans, the Europeans, like that same white dude he got on his show, because he gets real tough with the women. The dude started calling him a camel effer, and we need to get rid of Muslims and Islam. He's saying that on the show. This guy didn't say anything. He's there quiet. Like, what type of man is that? Dude, like over here, we would have slapped you. Like, I don't even respect you. You tough with women, but then when the pale boy disrespect your culture and your religion because you claim you're a Muslim, then you just quiet. You
Yeah.
real humble. Now you lost. The cat got your tongue. What type of man is that?
But that's what I mean by misplaced aggression, right? You take your aggression out on the perceived weaker group because you lack the ability and the strength to deal with the dominant group.
Yeah, of
So you
course.
attack. So you attack. So this is what we're seeing when we look at various immigrant communities. You
And
know,
and also it's good that you mentioned that because what is going on in Africa right now as we speak?
are we talking about the coups or are you talking about slavery? Which
No,
one? Or
the
both?
coups, the coups.
Oh, the coups. Yeah, in West Africa. Yeah.
Yeah,
Salute to them brothers for finally stepping up.
exactly? That's the point. Black Africa is uniting. Black Africa is uniting. So while you have this coon class, raccoon, YouTube, raccoon YouTube, don't demonetize me, okay? Talking about that. Talking about there's like 20 of y'all, okay? Don't forget to support the channel. This is the Black Grassroots. As you know, we broke. We broke. Help your brother out, man. Anyways, okay. The point is, while Black Africa is uniting, and you're gonna see what's gonna happen to these other sellout countries. They're gonna be left in the dust. They're gonna be broke for another 100 years. Watch, mark my words. Black Africa is uniting. Europe can't do anything about it. The old colonial powers cannot do anything about it right now. They can't do anything. They're stretched
That's
way too
true,
thin.
Charles.
They're stretched way too thin. Okay. While all of this is going on, do you not think that black folk are gonna remember the ones who said that they ain't black? Right? You think that black folks are not gonna remember the
I
ones
mean,
who
think about the video you just showed
Mhm,
with the young Somali guy.
mhm.
The woman on the right hand side was West African.
Yeah.
So so there you go. So they're even looking at it
Yeah, exactly.
and
Exactly.
saying, look at this.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of validity in the points you're making.
Mhm. So we're gonna go through some of these comments. Anybody can hop on too. I'm gonna leave the link in the chat. Okay. Okay, so I remember after 9/11, non-Muslim black Americans were fighting white guys who were attacking Muslim immigrant women. Those Muslim immigrants were too cowardly to even defend their own women. That is a fact. I remember that very clearly.
I remember that.
We talked about that on this channel. And as a matter of fact, there's videos,
Oh,
even after 9/11. You'll find plenty of videos of black people defending Muslims. You don't even know them, but they just defend them. Just to have those very same Muslims turn around and accept white supremacy wholesale. One second. Abdullah, turn off your YouTube. Turn off your YouTube, Abdullah.
there you go.
Okay. Salaam Alaikum, Abdullah.
Wa alaikum salam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Long time no here. You have to
Yeah.
forgive me. I've been sitting at the back of the class. Wa alaikum salam. I just came from a trip, and as soon as I turned it on, I was listening, and I heard the Somali guy shooting, and I was like, I haven't seen the video.
Mm. You haven't seen the video.
Yep.
Mm.
And I heard the Somali guy
Turn off the YouTube, bro. Yeah, turn off the YouTube. We're hearing the background.
Oh, my YouTube is out. It's off.
How are we hearing too? We're hearing the echo. Maybe he'll come back. Anyways, go ahead, guys.
Yeah, there's an imam I saw like in Austin, Texas. I'm about to send you the link, and like he's giving like either a DOS or Hutbah, I can't remember, and he's saying like we actually have more in common, talking to his immigrant community,
Hmm.
with the conservatives than the liberals. So we just need to call them like, and he's saying like with their gun loving culture, we don't love guns. We don't love guns, but everything else, we we have a lot in common with him. I'm like, look at this coward. He's scared to say that. Exercise those rights, but he's going on and on like how close they are to like the conservative party. And
Yeah,
coming to this channel, I was thinking about the things you said. They are really going hard trying to ingratiate themselves into the
communist
right
society.
wing. Yeah, especially the right wing side. Like
Now,
it's like so weird. Like, dude, they hate you too. When somebody
exactly.
like tell these idiots like they hate you too, they probably try to kill you the most.
Now the left right paradigm in and of itself, all it is just tools to make sure that the dominant society remains in power. That's it. Right? Any bonehead that says Islam is conservative or Islam is liberal, is just an idiot. You don't
Right.
under, you don't
That's like
understand
elementary in our religion. How many
yeah,
times they done heard the imam say we're a middle nation? We're in
yeah.
the middle nation, but they talking this left right like it's either or. How
Yeah.
about neither?
They're so eager to pigeonhole Islam inside democracy that they're clueless of what's actually going on. Right? They're not looking at the left right paradigm, the purpose of the left right paradigm, and they have no idea of the history of it. They just came in the middle of the game, or not even the middle, at the end of the game, and they missed all the stuff that happened before. And then they start talking like they're authorities and stuff like this, right? And the reason why they do that is because they are just trying to blend in or be
Accepted.
accepted. Perfect word.
Yep.
Accepted by that's exactly the word I'm looking for. Accepted by the dominant society.
Yep.
That's exactly the word I'm looking for. So Somali against Pan Africans asked, what do you think will be the consequence of the wedding shooting? The reason why this shooting is important is because of where it happened.
Uh-huh.
It's because of where it happened. People don't realize that Ottawa is largely crime free.
Yep.
Okay. Ottawa is very, very safe, very clean, very quiet, and it is the capital of Canada. And because that happened in Ottawa, this story right now it's viral. Everybody talking about it, and everybody's going in on the Somali community. And people are not going to forget this. They're not going to forget this one. This one right here, they're not going to forget because when the convoy happened, the trucker convoy happened, right? That was
Yep.
big news in Ottawa. Big
Yep.
news.
Yep.
That was white folks. These
Yep.
very same white folks who are looking at black folks already funny, and looking at immigrants already funny, and matching black people with crime and immigrants with crime. And guess which Somalians, which group they fit in? They fit in all of those categories.
Yep. All of them.
All of them. Easy targets. You
Yep.
think they're going to let you forget this? You must be tripping.
So,
You must.
so what happened, brother? Make me catch up the story. I actually missed it.
Uh, essentially, what happened was there was a shooting.
Uh-huh.
My wife told me if she said there was a shooting, I wouldn't say anything. But she says there was a shooting at a wedding. At a
Oh
wedding
my.
hall. a shooting at a wedding
No, we had a shooting at a funeral in Toronto.
in Toronto. And
Yeah,
my wife told me this that, and I said, "This has
Allah.
to be Somalis." The same thing. She
yeah,
told me this got to be Somali. It has to be Somalians, right?
yep,
And sure
yep.
enough, it was Somalians.
Subhanallah,
I
subhanallah.
said it instantly, right?
La
So the
ilaha
same thing
illallah.
here. I said it happened, and sure enough, it was Somalians, right? And but this time, because it happened in Ottawa, Toronto is not like Ottawa. Toronto already has,
Exactly, yeah,
Toronto already has high crime. It wasn't always like that. I'm from Toronto, right? Toronto used to be an amazing place to live. Now
yeah,
it's not the same city at all. It's totally different city, right?
yep.
But at any rate, uh, this shooting happened here in Ottawa, right?
Oh,
And
yep.
shootings don't happen in Ottawa, like rarely, right?
Exactly, exactly.
The the last couple of shootings that happened in Ottawa, right? You had first of all the Ottawa guy that got killed, right, by the police. Then you
Yeah.
have the Ottawa's most wanted, a Somali guy. We showed that guy for a
Oh,
murder, and now this thing. You don't know these folks. Y'all just got here, okay?
yeah.
Y'all, you think you got a bad? You think you got bad in Somalia? A lot of y'all is gonna end up right back in Somalia. Trust me.
Oh,
We've been out.
without a doubt, without a
Yeah.
doubt, without a doubt.
Mhm.
Like you
We
say, you have 4 or 5 strikes against you,
yeah.
and
Yes.
you happen to be involved in this.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
ridiculous.
And the really disappointing thing out of all of this
Yeah.
is the way that the Somali imams
Yep.
are doing their total silence on this is just ridiculous. Why am I talking about this? Why am I the only one you know, who's talking about this? You know, like really, y'all been seeing this happen since the 90s, and it's been progressively getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And eventually is going to boil over, right?
But the thing
But
is, brother, when you say the imams, as you know, they are only confined into the masajids, and
yes, yes,
these type of people of groups are not involved even in masajids. And most of the
yes,
time, when these things happen, even the imams go like, "Who's that?"
yes,
Mm.
yes. That's a problem. That's the
Yeah,
problem. If you're an
yeah.
imam, you need to know what's going on in your community. How are
In
you
your
an imam?
community, yeah, yeah. But the
What
thing is, the community is even subdivided.
yeah,
Even masjid, this group of people or this tribe goes to this masjid, this tribe goes to. So it's like ships that pass at night. I'm like, we came with that crap from over there. Why are we still
yeah.
carrying it over here?
Now it's getting real deep. That's getting
Yeah.
real deep now.
Let me chip in with my 2 cents with the
Yeah,
Africans getting united. I am
good.
really happy to see that. But what
Mhm,
really shocks me and surprises me is how dare you leave this long such a condition? How dare you allow these people to take advantage of you for so long? And I'm saying to myself, yeah, some of us are the worst ones are on the top. They sell outs. They worry about only their family. They're the ones
mhm,
that sign contracts, blah blah, and so forth, right?
mhm,
And then you go like, what happened to the 98% of the people then?
mhm. Well, you know, oppression is something that is orchestrated. It's not something that's haphazard,
Exactly.
right? And the
Yeah.
people who oppress, they always intend to oppress into infinitum, right?
Exactly.
They don't plan on rescinding their power at all, right? So the difference between white supremacy, right, and other types of oppression, if you look at Pharaoh,
Hmm.
right, he was able to subdue Beni Israel for 400 solid years, right?
All of them. Yeah. All of them. Yeah.
Yes. So black folk in the West have been subdued for how long? 400 solid years.
400 and some. Yeah. Some years.
Yep.
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 A lot
Yeah.
of similarities.
Yep. Now Africans, they have been subdued
All
through
their life.
colonization, right?
All their
So
life. Since inception.
they, they have been subdued from colonization, right? So
Yep.
colonization is such that you will be enslaved in your own lands without even realizing it. You don't even know what's
Exactly.
happening. And
Exactly.
you don't see the person who's enslaving you. So the only times you're gonna see these white folks is when they're there to give you aid. So and then you see these same white folks as angels.
It's
You
not
know,
even aid. On one hand, they have a Bible. On the other hand, they have a cheeseburger.
there you go. You know what I mean? Right?
Hey,
So
but
the only
to
go
be
ahead.
to be fair though, and give some balance, like you're talking about, like the West Africans, at least they coming together. Like they've been doing the same thing in your land. There's
Yeah,
no difference between what's going on in West Africa and Somalia. They're the
Yep.
puppet masters that's been causing the turmoil in your land also.
yeah.
So like I don't know how you can just like single them out. Like what's wrong with these people? They're slow. They've
No,
been
no,
doing
no,
it to
no,
you.
no. I'm singling out all of Africa. I'm not singling out only
He was
like
talking about all that.
West
Yeah, he was
Africa.
talking about all that. Yeah, he was
Yeah,
talking about
I'm
all that.
talking about all of them. It's everybody.
Yeah.
Even look, the most powerful one is Egypt.
Mm,
Like Nigeria. Look,
mm.
like the brother said, they don't even know what's going on. You don't even realize, and
Yeah.
that's the trick of the colonizers. So
Yes.
for some reason, you think like you get your freedom in 1960. So what happened after 1960 until now? You still they had their boot on your head.
Exactly. What and this is something about that the white supremacists have mastered. We talked about this on this channel. They
Exactly.
mastered they mastered the use of language in order to oppress people. So they tell you that they've given you your independence, but
Exactly.
your independence comes with strings attached. What are these?
Exactly.
You will
Yep.
be independent like in Haiti as long as you pay back your slave masters $14 trillion. Okay.
Look at France. Look at France. How much they're getting?
Yeah, you will be
That's
independent in French Africa as
yeah.
long as you give up 30% of your natural resources to France to have a resold right back to you.
Yeah, and France should have a light every night, and
Mm,
in your country you have no even electricity.
yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah, that's right.
So
The-
so so this is
so
hiding hiding
basically
behind.
what they say is you like free to do whatever you like as long as you do whatever I like.
Yeah.
And they put a black
Whatever that gives
and,
me survival. Yep.
and they always put a black face on it to like
Exactly.
control you.
Exactly.
Somebody that look like you.
Exactly. That's
That's
what
the
I meant.
game. That's
2%.
the game.
They put a puppet on the government, and those are the ones that sign the contracts to
Yeah.
breed them to make sure that they get forever whatever they want to get. And at the 98%, when I said, I meant all the rest of Africans. We're like, okay, they did this. Let's go for it.
Mhm. Right. So Muhammad Adam, he says the Somali youth need to be in the mesh in Toronto has been getting better because the meshes like Khalid bin Walid have been having programs for youth is this decreased crime dramatically, create more programs. I have to basically strongly disagree with Brother Muhammad Adam. Okay.
Uh-huh.
I have to strongly disagree with Brother Muhammad Adam. Like, I'm from Toronto. I was in Toronto when Khalid bin Walid started,
Uh-huh.
right? And the programs there were amazing. They were way better back in the day than they are now, right?
Uh-huh.
And the crime among Somalians in Toronto is not decreasing, right? At all, right? Let's just call it a buck, right? And I'm sure if you were here, but we showed Toronto's Most Wanted. It's riddled with Somalians, even though they
SubhanAllah.
make up less than maybe 1% of the population in Toronto, if that.
Yep. Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
all right. And Toronto's Most Wanted is just riddled, and we're not talking about some small crimes. We're talking like massive crimes, murder, pimping, you name it, man. They're doing some crazy stuff out there, right? And the culture behind Somali masjids is to be enclaves, so much so that Encyclopedia Britannica describes Somali communities as enclaves. And if you don't believe me, read it for yourself. Type in Somali community or Somali population. You know what? Let me just read it because y'all are gonna think I'm tripping. Okay.
No, 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 no. Wait, yep, no, we,
Well, let me
He will. He
let me
will.
let
He
me ask a
will find
question.
them.
Truth never trips. Truth never trips. Truth is always there.
Y'all
Well,
know that I got the receipts, right? So
well, let me ask a question, brother Bilal. To you know, you brothers on the panel, but especially since we had a Somali brother here.
Go
Um,
ahead.
the brother Adam, he mentioned in text, Muhammad Adam, he's like, you know, Alhamdulillah, Somali have our own culture. Well, every people have their own culture.
yeah,
And
Definitely.
if the Somalis grew up in Islam, right?
Yep.
Because people been Muslim for a long time. If you grew up in
Yeah.
Islam, the brother Bilal mentioned, like, why they like it's like to me crazy. The brother Bilal said that they try to bring the bloods there. I'm thinking of Somali blood. Why would they be trying
why?
to emulate?
Why?
Why would
Oh,
they be trying to emulate street culture
okay,
from the
brother.
USA, FBA, and you have your own culture? Like, what would make the youth do
Let me
that?
answer that
Are the
question.
imams not addressing the youth
Let me
issues, or like what?
let me answer that question, brother.
Mm,
One day I was listening to a sheikh and we were talking about the same problems that we're raising today.
mm,
And the sheikh came back to the community and he said, if you drop your kid in the middle of the ocean, you can't tell him to stay to keep away from water.
mm,
So we drop our kids over here. People like me, when I came here, I was a little bit mature. I was in high school and I knew bad, wrong from right. But
mm,
the ones that we are discussing today are the own product of this Western society. They were born here. Yes, they are from Somali family. Illa man rahim rabbuk. You will see kids that were born here that are hafiz al-Quran.
mm,
That read his Quran better than us came from there. You will see them praying on the masjid on the first line. And those are like, illa man rahim rabbuk. It's like
mm,
5 or 10. But the
mm,
rest of them, they have adapted to their own culture, the countries they grew up, whether they grew up in the USA or Canada or Mexico, they grew up to that culture. So for them to be accepted in their mind, to emulate it, they have to act like whatever they feel like acting it. So
mm,
now the kid goes to school, he fails school. He
mm.
doesn't get nothing out of school or high school. He goes to Dixie Quran, like our the masajids or where they learn Quranic, and he can make it. What are the options that he has? He comes outside. Now there's bending, music, robbery, killing, this group that, and like all type of interest is all there. So now, even though the kid looks like Somali, he came from Somali family, yet you are dealing with a Canadian or American, a Canadian who grew up in Western Lawrence,
Mm.
a Canadian who grew up in Ottawa, maybe like the other side of Ottawa where nobody goes there,
Mm.
like the
And
suburbs over there.
as we mentioned, or as we mentioned before, right? This all this entire phenomenon is absolute social engineering. It's not unique. It's
Exactly.
not new.
Yep.
It's a very old playbook,
Yep.
and for some strange reason, there's a quirk in Somali culture, as you mentioned already, that has them accepting the worst parts of what they perceive as black culture, the absolute worst,
Yep.
right, in order to be accepted, right?
Exactly. Yep. And you know
Black
what?
black folks are
Some
trying
of them
to,
are succeeding. Some
mm,
of them are succeeding. Now they're becoming musicians,
mm,
rappers, and
yeah,
their names are up there.
yeah,
And the rest of the herds wants to follow them.
yeah, exactly, exactly. But
I mean,
anyways,
I can see like the rap thing, but
mm,
like to you, like trying to like basically bring a whole gang culture to another country. Like you didn't grow up in those neighborhoods in LA, so why would you want to bring that to Canada? Just because you saw it on like YouTube? Like I don't understand.
no, there was just before YouTube. This is before
Yeah.
internet,
Yeah,
right?
like the brother said, there is some element of social engineering to it. I remember one time a comedian he said they wanted to bash black people in America, so they brought the Puerto Ricans. But he said luckily the Puerto Ricans and the blacks mingled and intermarried each other and become one community. So
Yeah,
he said they have to figure out something else.
yeah,
Like now that they failed it, we have to bring some other people.
hmm
So it's like there's sometimes engineering to it, but I'm like, nobody put a gun to your head and asking you to take this type of culture that you are like head on,
Yeah, but the
receiving.
only problem with that Somali against Pan Africans, Bloods is not a Somali gang. So why did they make their own? Like, why do you choose the Bloods?
Exactly, exactly.
And
Isn't
then you
isn't
say
that
they
like
say they not black. Why are you choosing like a black gang to bring to Toronto and say we're Bloods?
no? But
Like,
the
it doesn't make sense.
people that said we're not black are some part of. They don't even have any association with gangs. The people that say we're not black are people that are just don't have no filter. Like the brother said, they come at the end of the game, they don't know what the call is about,
Yeah.
and they just try to participate in one way or the
Yeah.
other. And then they say we're not black. I'm like, if you're not black, what are you? What are you in this country? You are a Negro. You're not even black.
All right, family.
But
Small.
I do agree with the brother. I do agree with the brother Bilal though when he said like the social engineering part because it's like so many things that so-called blacks do in this country, and they only show people a certain side, so people choose to emulate the worst of what they believe black culture is about. When
Yeah, exactly.
most black people like look down on that type of stuff, man.
Yep.
Especially when you
Exactly.
get to a certain age. Even gang members, like
Yep.
I grew up with gang members. Like
Yep.
none of them want their kids to do that. None
Exactly.
of them.
Exactly. They tell them, hey, I've been there, done that. I don't want you to go that route. Very easy.
Okay, family. I'll let all of you get the last words in, and I'm gonna call in. I gotta work tomorrow.
I'm glad I came in tonight. I'm glad I came in tonight. I've been sitting at the back of the class. Forgive me. Good to see you guys.
Hayakumullah, Jazakallah khair, brother Abdullah. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Points on flight. Go ahead. Points on flight.
Yeah, that's basically it. Like I was just like wondering, like, why do people always try to choose like the worst of what they perceive to be like black American culture? Most of the people that like live in the ghetto, like from our people, like they don't want to be there.
Exactly.
So I like most of the music I hear when I see like Lil Durk and all these dudes, they love talking about O Block and all that. Like that's why they're rapping. Like they don't want to be there. They're trying to get out so they can get their family out. Like I think most of this music is like I think it's being bought by like European, like suburban kids. Most people that really have to live in those areas, like gee, they don't want to live there. Like there's nothing glorious about it. Cause you see your friend get shot. You see your brother get killed, your cousin, like you see this. And there's nothing glorious about being shot or spend the rest of your life in prison, man. But I
Yeah.
guess people that really don't have to live like that, it seems like adventurous to the youth because they have a lot of energy and you want to be a soldier when you're young. You want to be a warrior, like you want to be a man. You think this the way to manhood. But if you really live like that, trust me, you wouldn't want to live like that.
Brother Hanif.
Yeah, man. Basically what I said before, but I will say this in closing. Issue that we have to always remember, and it hit me when you were reading comments of the white supremacists, like deport them. Look at the names.
All of them are white supremacists. I want to make that clear. Some of them are even black people, and they're saying the same.
Right, right.
They're all
But yeah, but black people with white supremacy talking points.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, but the point I'm getting at though is that one thing we have to remember from a historical standpoint. You mentioned colonialism, mentioned slavery, oppression.
Yeah.
See, now that group has it good because their forefathers put in all the hard work. Now they can turn their nose up at everyone else.
Yeah, of
Right?
course.
Look at them. Look at what they're doing. Although their forefathers are the root cause of what we see now
Exactly.
and been the root cause from the beginning. So
Yeah.
in mentioning this, all I'm saying is that these are realities we need to keep in our mind
Mhm.
when dealing with these affairs.
Mhm.
Why is Somalia in the state that it's in?
Mhm.
Why is Nigeria in the state that it's in? Why
Mhm.
is Afghanistan in the state that it's in? Iraq, Iran,
Mhm.
and the list goes on and on and on. FBA, the Caribbean. We can go on and on and on. We know the primary cause. We know the primary root. The problem that I have with us is that we don't keep the pressure on that reality,
Yeah.
and we let them get away with downplaying our reality,
Hmm.
and we succumb to divide and conquer tactics. These are
Yeah.
areas we're going to have to work on.
All right. I want to thank my guests who joined me tonight and helped me out here. Brother Abdullah, Brother Points on Flight, Brother Hanif. I want to thank everybody in the comments who contributed with the comments. Jazakumullah khair.
Oh, yeah.
And inshallah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. I think I'm going live tomorrow, right? Tomorrow's Monday, right? So I think I'm
Yep.
going live tomorrow. So big dua for your brother. All right. Hopefully YouTube won't demonetize this, right? But hayakumullah.
I was trying to be on my best behavior.
Inshallah.
I was trying to mind my
Inshallah.
words.
Me too, man. I was holding back. All right. All right. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. See you guys. Yeah.